Hey everybody, welcome back to another movie review. Hope you guys been enjoying the content on the channel as of late. I literally just shot, now this being 3 videos back to back, so just excuse me if I seem a little bit out of it. I just been shooting a lot of videos today, so just excuse me ahead of time. Um, but that will not get in the way of doing this review, which is of course for Bones and All, which is directed by I can't know how to pronounce his name. Luca Gar. I don't know. I don't know how to pronounce his name, but he's the man who brought us Call Me by Your Name, as well as the recent remake to Suspiria, among a couple of other things. I believe he also did a short film with Tilda Swinton not too long ago as well. But um, the story is about a girl played by Taylor Russell. I believe she's a newcomer, who is basically a cannibal, and who we soon find out is not necessarily her father, but a masculine figure, or I believe it is her father actually. Yeah, um, uh, her father is keeping her in hiding because of her tendencies, and she eventually gives in one particular night, and she is basically abandoned, and she has to learn life on her own, and uh, she wants to find her mother, who she never really had a connection with. And along the way, she finds Timothy Chalamet, who is also a fellow cannibal, and she embarks on what basically boils down to a sense of belonging. A journey of searching for that sense of belonging. She goes to of course, the whole point is for her to go to her mother, and she's hoping from there that she'll find some kind of some closure to these said feelings. And obviously, this being a love story, we know how this what the end results are. Um, and I think that with just describing the film, I feel like it's kind of easy to pick at my feelings about the film. Just to speak positively, I think that it's visually quite interesting. I think that the style of it is quite interesting to see. I think that um, it makes sense now because this is actually my first film of Luca's that I've seen. I've not seen Call Me by Your Name or his remake to Suspiria, but I have seen the original Suspiria, and it makes sense now why he did remake Suspiria, because he seems to be quite a big fan of Dario Argento, because I got suggestions of his type of style. Very um, visually driven, and likes to play around with a lot of kind of styles, and you know um, has certain kinds of sensibilities. They seem quite familiar, and I was getting tastes of that, or at least suggestions of that throughout this film. I'm not sure if that's apparent in his other films, but it felt that way here. Um, but the style was interesting. I felt that it was the most compelling aspect to the film. Um, until you start to pay attention to its narrative and the performances themselves, and it's where it kind of falls into mediocrity, predictability, and just um, how do you say it? How do you say it? Just typical, you know. Um, I'm not really big on Timothy Chalamet in general. I don't really understand what the craze is for him. I think it's just he's a pretty face. He also has that very just like, it's the kind of guy that a lot of girls find attractive. I'll put it that way. Like, his attitudes are what a lot of girls, particularly young girls, find pretty attractive. I just find it just very dull, and um, I think outside of one scene, which was towards the end, I feel that he just never really got to me in terms of a performance. And especially for Taylor Russell, I thought she was not particularly good. I thought she was, um, what's the best word to describe it? She was noticeably, um, um, I wouldn't say miscast, but she feels very out of place. Because I feel that she is capable of doing better. I see it. Again, there's that one scene that kind of showed me that, okay, she has the capability. She can actually be bringing in more. but the entire time she just feels so misplaced, and she doesn't feel like she complements the story well. She just feels very, um, very, like, how do you say it? Like, it's a very performance. It's very much a performance. You know, it's very much a performance. It's not that you're watching a character unfold, or you're watching, um, something that's represented in a way that complements the story. You know, it just feels like a performance, and that's to me the worst kind of performances, when they feel like performances. I like seeing characters more than performances, and for me, Taylor's was just, it just felt like a very standard kind of performance to me, and it was just noticeably out of place. Um, Timothy, it just felt dull, but for Taylor, it just felt very out of place. I can't say if it was miscast, because she didn't really annoy me, but it just felt, um, I just I feel like that she just was under delivering a lot throughout the film, and very inexpressive, as well. So I didn't think that the performances were particularly great. And I felt that when you really strip away its technicalities and stripping away the presentation of said story, it just boils down to very predictable, I mean, beats that you find in romances. You know, the two find each other, they find that they find something within such relationship that, they have not found elsewhere. They both obviously have troubled past, and they have some relatabilities. They're both, lost souls in some respects, or they have something that binds them together. And in this case, it's cannibalism, which I must say that, um, obviously the film brings a level of disturbance as well, because when you're addressing cannibalism, there's just that's just the nature of it. There's going to be a level of disturbance in the film, and there quite is. There's some grotesque imagery that's presented, because obviously with cannibals, they have to feed at some point. So there are some scenes that are, uh, uh, I wouldn't say squeamish, or squeamish, but it's squeamish. Sorry, I wouldn't say squeamish, but it's definitely, like, you do jerk your head at one point. That kind of response, especially towards the end. There's one scene that gets a little, I did do the head movement, in that one particular scene, but, um, and it just feels like to me that the element of cannibalism is just a means to stir up drama, or to elicit more responses, because the script is not doing this film any favors either. It just feels super weak, very standard. It's not really clever, outside of one line that I can really think of, that came from Mark Rylance, who I must say was probably the best of the performances. He didn't really have to do too much, but I have to say also, his costume reminded me a lot of like Mad Hatter or Alice in Wonderland kind of thing, because the film, in terms of an atmosphere, feels like a fairy tale almost, or almost, like an adaptation. I'm not sure if it's based off like a YA novel or anything like that, but it feels like that. It feels like there's, um, a book called Bones and All that I'm not familiar with, and I feel that that was, at first I thought it was going to be an issue, but I thought it was fine. It didn't, annoy me or anything, but I felt that the film was just mediocre. I mean, I don't think that there's anything terrible about it. Again, I think Taylor Russell is kind of the weakest point of the film, and just in general, I feel that the story is not anything new. I mean, I think that they're using the cannibal elements to try to elicit to get certain responses, versus having it be an important element to the story. Um, like, it's a pretty expecting kind of film, and that's just, I wouldn't say I'm disappointed about it, because I mean, I got what I expected, um, but obviously I wish there was more to it. Um, and where I thought the film would end, it doesn't. And you might think that that's good. I mean, a film subverting expectations, but I thought where the film would end, because the film is called Bones and All, and there's a reason for it. Um, and they suggest at the end that that title, comes full circle. But I wish that, because it's presenting a grotesqueness with its, cannibalism, I wish that they would have gone for it at the end, because I feel that that would have, I felt that that would have been more satisfying, but it ends on a technical note than a arresting note, which I feel is where the film should have been. I feel that's where the film should have left itself. But it's visually quite nice. I think that technically speaking, it's interesting, even though I think that it's just making up for a very lackluster script and some very just very iffy performances. I did not buy the relationship. I did not really care for the relationship. I was more interested in what it did visually and technically, but you know, once you remove yourself from that and you see what kind of story we have at play here, it's just a very standard story, and I just felt that it was told in an interesting way, but it's not bringing anything new. It's just not bringing anything new. It's just any other love story, and that's pretty much all it is. So it's what I expected it to do. It uses its cannibal elements as a means to represent. It hopes that with using its cannibal elements, it's becoming more deep, but it's really not. It's just trying to cover the hollowness that it actually has. And again, it just proves that love stories, there's just nothing else that you can really do with a love story outside of just what is already established. So it's okay. I think that's the best way for it, the best word to describe it. It's okay. If you want to see something visually interesting, and if you just have a man crush on, or you know, if you have a crush on Timothée Chalamet, you're probably maybe going to want to check it out. But you know, if you're looking for something that has sincerity, some level of depth, and you know, having actual compelling performances, I don't think Bones is All has that. It's a very standard piece that just happens to have some it's a film that thinks it's deeper than it actually is. You know, technically and visually it has something to it, but when you ask yourself, oh, okay, so what is the story actually telling me, you realize really quickly that it's just like any other love story, tired, hollow, predictable to some regard, and a little bit boring. So yeah, that's my thoughts on Bones and All. Okay, it's the best word for it. It's okay. But you guys, let me know your thoughts on Bones and All. Did you guys like it? Did you guys hate it? And that's it. That's it for me. I am gonna go to the bathroom because I need to go pee. And I have another movie tomorrow, so I'm telling you, pumping out reviews. Just pumping out reviews. So that's it for this review, guys. Thank you guys for watching. Hope you guys have a wonderful Thanksgiving, and I'll catch you guys in the next video.